views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Get fired up for Spirit Fire Radio, your guide to practical mindfulness and meditation. Join hosts Tim Darter and Steve Kramer and discover how to add the mechanics of meditation to your day. Watch yourself connecting in a whole new way and find the amazing moments in life's routines that often pass us by. Add to your awareness with Spirit Fire Radio. Now here's your hosts, Tim Darter and Steve Kramer.
Welcome to Spirit Fire Radio. I'm Tim Darter.
And I'm Steve Kramer.
And today we're talking about soften, open, and receiving. We're at step 4 of the practice, which is a pretty significant number. Steve, why don't you tell us a little more about that?
Sure. Welcome, everyone. It's great to be with you again. And we are on step 4 of the practice of living awareness, which is Spirit Fire's meditation technique. And each week we have a different guest on our show that emulates that step. And this step this week is step number 4, which is called soften, open, and receive. So as Tim said, numbers are really powerful. They're quite meaningful. And this step number 4 makes me want to talk a bit about the number 4. So there's a lineage of wisdom that we reference quite a bit at Spirit Fire. Within that lineage, there are 7 streams of energy, and they condition everything in manifestation. It's a lot like light reflecting off of an object and making one of the 7 colors.
And those are called the rays.
Yes, those are called the rays. So as you look around, everything has a color. There's nothing that does not have a color. And it's similar with these rays. Everything has one of these 7 qualities. That number 7 seems to be everywhere. 7 colors, 7 notes to an octave. Since we're going to be talking about music today, there's 7 deadly sins. There's 7 chakras in your energy system. And the practice of living awareness, Spirit Fire's meditation practice, has 7 steps in the first half of the practice. And those 7 steps will bring you to a place of shamatha, which means peaceful abiding. So that means we learn within these first 7 steps how to sit with ourselves in peace. We learn this way of simply being, of being at peace and ease and open to this meditation practice, this thing called meditation. So we're at step 4. That means we're in the middle. That means there were 3 steps before and there will be 3 steps after. So within this 7 ray of qualities of energy, step number 4 is called harmony through chaos. And it's also the ray of the artist. And when we think about artists, what they do, they bring harmony out of a situation that could be chaotic. We think of artists as being very dramatic, a lot of them living very dramatic lives and willing to sort of dive into life's dramas and sort of create something beautiful, something graceful, something magical, something that sounds beautiful, a song out of this experience. So this number 4, harmony through chaos, is actually related to the human experience in every way. That's what we do. We muck things up so that we can just learn and make them better the next time. We create harmony by learning through this chaos. So we thought that step number 4 in being soften, open, and receive, it's sort of this pinnacle time within the practice where we take in the breath, we receive all that the breath has to offer, and we soften, we open to it, and we process it. So again, it's this idea of receiving, of processing, of softening to the fullness of the moment, the fullness of the breath, and allowing that in. That's what artists do. They allow the moment in. So we're so happy to have Larz Young with us. He is an amazing singer and songwriter, musician, and
Western Mass.
He's from Western Mass, and I have been on the receiving end of his music quite a bit. I have been in reception. I've been live at one of his shows. And Larz, welcome. It's so great to have you here.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. So artists, let's just talk about art. Artists they're recorders and interpreters. They're sort of translators of the human experience. As I listen to your latest CD, Larz has a brand new CD out called Sarita and Other Reasons for Living. This is the human experience, relationship, living, getting through the muck. As an artist, can you just tell us, what attracted you to that? What is it that you said, this artist life is the life for me?
Well, I'm not sure it was a conscious choice. I guess I was sort of drawn to it. I suppose I had an urge to express myself, and my brother was a big influence on me, getting me into playing guitar, acoustic guitar, early on. Started about 12 years old. And it just has always been my first passion.
Yeah. So in songwriting, there's a lot of that working through the process, just as we all do in any process. And I'd love to hear a little bit about that process. Writing a song. For instance, we were just talking about harmony through chaos. I'm curious, when you're writing a song, is there a process in that? Do harmonies come through, melodies come through, and then lyrics? I'm curious if you could tell us a bit about what that process is like to work through.
Well, it really varies. It's hard to really define the creative process itself. I'm very guitar oriented as a composer. Some composers like pianos. I've always been drawn to the acoustic guitar, and oftentimes I'll just create a melody that evokes some sort of image or even an emotional response, sometimes conceptual. I do find that I'm probably the most creative when I'm still, kind of in an open, receptive state, free of clutter. That kind of allows me to discover patterns or connections that I wouldn't otherwise make, and being free of clutter allows you to recognize or reveal your own inner thoughts and feelings.
And so I would imagine that as you're sitting down, since you say that the guitar is sort of what leads you to this creative expression, and that's sort of your doorway, I imagine. I can sort of imagine you just sitting down, playing the guitar, and that's when you start to open. That's actually what opens you to what is the music actually saying? What is the sound revealing to me? And from there, you take it from there. It sounds like that's a bit of the process, huh?
Yeah, I do find that, with some songs, I begin with this image that is often evoked by a melody, and, sometimes you kind of reverse engineer the song. I think there's a difference between the craft of songwriting and the essence of that creative spark. And most songs, tell a story. The obvious example would be like the ballad, but even instrumentals evoke imagery and tell a story. There's a beginning, and there's variations and permutations, and perhaps a dramatic crescendo, and then it resolves. But
I love the idea that it all comes out of this creative spark. That's what sort of allows all of this storytelling to unfold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's what we're doing a lot of times in meditation. It's exactly that. We're sort of opening our mind up. We're sort of allowing ourselves to be centered enough that creative spark can happen, and then see what happens after we unfold. So, all of intuition really exists on these higher planes of the mind. So as we're in meditation, and a lot of musicians, I'm so certain, I'm not a musician myself, I'm always in awe of them, and I'm always in awe of watching them, even watching you play the last time I saw you play live. you see that there's you're almost meditating. It feels like a meditative process as the music starts to go and as the words start to come. That seems to be a lot of what's happening during meditation as well. You sort of put yourself in an environment that opens yourself up to being creative mentally in the higher states of mind, of bringing in, where are my thoughts taking me? Where are my thoughts not taking me? Where is the experience taking me? So I see so many correlations between the creative process and the process of meditating.
Yeah, I do find that sometimes I seem to tap into some sort of unconscious reservoir of I don't know if it's experiential knowledge or intuition or even instinctual or collective unconscious. It's hard to really define it, but it does seem to have those attributes.
And I would say it's every single one of those. Every one of those words you mentioned seems to be hitting the nail right on the head. Indeed, I think it is collective consciousness. It is a reservoir. It is intuition. It's all of those things combined. And it seems that is the role of the artist, and that is the role of us here as human beings, to sort of sort that out and find where our own personal creative expression lies within that. Yeah. So we're already at a break. We're gonna hear a little bit of Larz's music as we go out and come in, and we'll be right back with Larz Young.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat, joined here by
Dr. Nusheen Darvish.
Dr. Pat Basili and Dr. Nusheen Darvish will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
I'm so excited to be talking about this.
We have so much to share.
Dr. Darvish and I are planning to do is connect the dots.
People suffering with all sorts of chronic diseases, it's time. It is time for them to transform.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio and help keep our mission strong.
For the loyal listeners out there that have been listening to this incredible show on Lyme disease, we are not going to let you down. We're going to come through stronger and enrich the platform for Lyme disease awareness through Lyme Talk Radio. The message will continue, the conversations will become stronger, and the healing epic.
Hi, I'm Tim Darter.
And I'm Steve Kramer.
Join us on Spirit Fire Radio. Discover how to add the mechanics of meditation to your day.
And watch yourself connect in a whole new way. Find the amazing moments in life's routines that often pass us by. Add to your awareness with Spirit Fire Radio.
Tune in each Wednesday at 9 a.m. for your weekly guide to practical mindfulness. And to learn more, visit www.spiritfireradio.com.
On Radio. Find Your Shine with Kelly is the show that celebrates what makes you, you. Join co-hosts Kelly Wadler and Dr. Pat Basili as they break down how to brilliantly fuel and move your body and love what makes you shine. Kelly is a professional arts and wellness coach dedicated to helping brilliant women find their confidence, energy, self-love, and shine. Tune in to Shine On Radio with Kelly and find your shine on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Tune in to The Jen Royster Show, intuitive guidance to inspire your life, each Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This amazing show is an inspirational hour that will take you on an epic metaphysical journey to discover the spiritual approach to life's greatest challenges. Dr. Jen is an internationally known intuitive counselor, spiritual teacher, and energy healer. Call in for intuitive readings and visit JenRoyster.com for more information.
1230 WBLQ.
That was Larz Young, and he is a musician, singer, songwriter, five-finger guitarist, and just a beautiful sounds on the guitar We're here with Larz talking about the creative process, about softening, opening, and receiving as inspiration. How does a song come about? How does that creative spark ignite and create beautiful music? And also the lyrics. Larz's new CD is called Sarita and Other Reasons for Living, and there are these wonderful stories. Each song is about a relationship. The whole CD is dedicated to the women in his life and to all that he's learned and all of the ways he's evolved through these relationships. So really, Larz, songwriting is so much about storytelling. It's about understanding other people, creating a connection, and sort of opening yourself up to the fullness of every experience, I would imagine, and being able to process that and grow from it. So storytelling, and let's talk about that a little bit. How does that work for you? Coming across a song, or where does the inspiration come to sort of work that out in a song and tell a story?
Well, the inspiration comes from, life experience. I think that we all share common emotions and common experiences, and I guess as a storyteller, if you're successful, I think you've tapped into something in common with the listener. If the listener is moved in some way, and you relate the experience through imagery or an expression of something, and I think the artist, whether a songwriter, a musician, a painter, sculptor, or a dancer, has tapped into that commonality, and I think that the songs that seem to be the most appealing are the ones that come from the heart and go to the heart. There's some sort of visceral truth, I think, that's conveyed, and it's hard to actually define that type of truth, but it's kind of like you know it when you see it. The process itself is it varies quite a bit. Like I say, with a storytelling, you have sort of a central idea that you're trying to convey, or even a feeling, and again, there's the craft of songwriting is one that enables you to, I think, convey those sincere feelings. And a lot of my inspiration, I think, is perhaps matured, with age and experience, and getting to relate to people and getting people to relate to you. I think that it's people respond to sincerity, and we were talking before about when I was fairly transient. I used to hitchhike a lot, and that was sort of enabled me to meet all sorts of people, and it was kind of almost a study in human nature.
And did you have your guitar with you? I can see you on the side of the road with your guitar in hand and the other hand thumb up.
Yeah, I almost always had a guitar in a guitar case, and I think that probably made me seem less menacing to most
And who
people.
doesn't want to turn off the radio and have live music playing right in the front seat of their car? That sounds pretty awesome to me.
Yeah, well, it did happen on occasion where we'd pull over and play some tunes. I actually had the opportunity to open at the Cafe Lena in Saratoga Springs as a result of being picked up hitchhiking by a fairly well-known folk singer, Rosalie Sorrell. I think I was 16 at the time, and we ended up going to a little rest stop there, and she had a guitar in her wagon, and she had a bunch of albums there, and so we were kind of swapping songs, and then there was a car that actually caught on fire at the rest area. But anyway, she got me an opening slot to open for Paul Jeremiah at the Cafe Lena. It was just kind of an interesting aside, but
Isn't that why artists just have such interesting lives, right? Because they're just open. I mean, there you have it. They're just open to experience. We love to sort of feed off them. I think it's why music is so important in our lives. It's really a unique experience, the experiences of the artist. And I keep thinking of I'm picturing you on the side of the road hitchhiking and how this ties in. That you've got to create this vibe where people are actually open to you. People are willing to receive you into their car, which I imagine is similar at a concert or if you're trying to get the attention of an audience. You've got to really create this vibration where people feel that connection to you straight away and really want to receive what it is that you have to offer. Yeah.
Yes, I actually hitchhiked so much that I think I actually developed certain skills in allowing people to open up and relate. I actually would have a certain set of questions that I would ask, and after a while I actually started writing the responses down.
That you would ask the drivers.
Again, just as a kind of a study in human nature. But, I'd ask, where you're heading, and, so where you're from, and how long you've been living there, what do you do for work? And, I think, I found it really interesting. Everyone's got their story. And I learned a lot. And I think people were more than happy to open up once they felt that you were sincerely interested. And, so that I did develop certain skills in understanding people's motivation, and I've been an attorney for over 30 years, and those skills actually were of great value in dealing with cases as a trial attorney, especially because understanding people's motivations would allow you to approach them in a way that they would open up to you and soften them in the sense of getting them to be sympathetic to your client's position, and also in negotiating with people and witnesses and even prosecutors, understanding where they were coming from in the case of criminal cases, and that would really in the long run, really help your client's cause. Because if you can undermine, say you have a police officer or the arresting officer who at first perhaps is, angry at your client, or being kind of harsh, and you can get them to relate to your client, it kind of softens their stand. That in turn can influence the prosecutor as to what type of either plea bargain they're willing to make, or even to soften their testimony when they actually get on the stand. So
it's so interesting that we've segued from music to hitchhiking to defense law. I mean, being a lawyer, I can't imagine how many other defense lawyers can say that they're also musicians and singers and songwriters and hitchhikers, for that matter. You must have been pretty unique in that environment, don't you think?
Well, I don't know of many others who have done that.
You're like this purveyor. You're like this sort of, you comb through human experience. It's so interesting. I mean, I'm really picking that up from you, that seems to be what really pulls you, or really inspires you and pulls you into a situation, is that everyone's unique and everyone's got their story. I mean, definitely in a courtroom. I mean, these are intense stories. These are intense emotions. That must just be, I'm wondering if there's fodder. I mean, was that fodder for songwriting, or were you able to sort of keep the boundaries between what created your songs and what didn't?
Well, Liz, I mean, there is a link there in terms of understanding human nature. I think that as a musician, your fans don't really want to hear that you're a lawyer, and most of your clients really don't want to hear that you're a musician. So the hours and so forth as a performing musician not that compatible with lawyering. So it's
and I can't imagine that you have to shave to be a clean-cut lawyer, and then how does the mustache and the really cool musician look grow back in a really short amount of time? That's a lot to juggle.
Yeah.
So listen,
right, well,
I want to hear more about that. I would love to hear more about your time as a defense lawyer and just your observations of human nature. We're going to go to a break and hear a little bit more of your music, and we're going to come back and talk about that and more with Larz Young when we come back.
Miracles of Holistic Health and Wellness with Dr. Ronnie. She will change your thinking about your health, your body, and your mind. One of the most dynamic holistic experts in the country, Dr. Ronnie, best-selling author, naturopathic doctor, independent scientific researcher, registered nurse, and founder of Martha's Vineyard Holistic Retreat. Each week, this media sensation will help you obtain optimal health through her no-nonsense advice and world-renowned guests. This show features holistic solutions and remedies to the health concerns that are on your mind and in your body. Whether Dr. Ronnie talks about how to make healthy meals, detoxing your body, she will discuss the latest advancements in longevity or life extension therapies. She will discuss treatments you won't believe we still use in this country to treatments that we should use and don't. Are you open? Are you ready? Let's say yes to Dr. Ronnie. The end game is helping you make the whole body healthier. Say yes to the Miracles of Holistic Health and Wellness with Dr. Ronnie.
This is Lynn Brown from the show Winning at the Game of Life. Listen, it's time to enrich your money stories and open your path to all that you desire. We all have limiting beliefs which we accumulate from our life experiences, ancestors, and past lives. These beliefs block our ability to receive the unlimited flow of abundance that the universe is constantly offering to us. Why are we so emotionally caught up on the word money? It's only one of the many forms of abundance. I'm excited to uncover your unique stories and limiting beliefs around money and abundance, as well as give you tools to release them from your space. It's time to invest in yourself. You deserve everything you ever imagined and more. Call me to schedule a reading at 844 letter B Intuit or letter R letter U Intuit.com.
Lynn was very accurate, and she was so clear in explaining everything to me. I highly recommend Lynn to all of you.
Each month, listen to Live More Radio with co-host Allie Katz. Join Allie and Dr. Pat as Allie introduces new ways to bring balance back to your life through meditation, sleep, and exercise techniques so you can live your truly authentic life. Stress less, live more. To learn more about Allie, visit ATOZENmeditation.com.
Hi, I'm Tim Darter.
And I'm Steve Kramer.
Join us on Spirit Fire Radio. Discover how to add the mechanics of meditation to your day.
And watch yourself connect in a whole new way. Find the amazing moments in life's routines that often pass us by. Add to your awareness with Spirit Fire Radio.
Tune in each Wednesday at 9 a.m. for your weekly guide to practical mindfulness. And to learn more, visit www.spiritfireradio.com.
1230 WBLQ.
Welcome back to Spirit Fire Radio. We're talking with Larz Young, and that was a lyric from his song Terrified. And there is a cool lyric in there that Steve and I wanted to ask you about, Larz, where you talk about, the lyric goes, I meant to write you a love song, didn't mean to come off so blue. I didn't mean to, but now I depend on you. But those old fears are finally filtering through. Where did that come from? What was the inspiration behind that?
Well, that particular song is pretty close to home. I think that, relationships, they're hard, and there's many pitfalls, and, you can lose yourself or you can take too much. And, when you really care, you risk being hurt. I think that, we all carry our own baggage, and I like to think of us as kind of wounded animals, and there's a process in a relationship that is both scary and beautiful. I personally have always never felt quite complete without someone else in my life, sharing. But it is scary, and so that is kind of those old fears are finally filtering through when you spend time with someone. After the initial stage of awe and just being enamored. The day-to-day things and little quirks we have and so forth, they come up, and we're a product of our experience, and being hurt in the past makes us, I think, somewhat apprehensive in opening up, and I think it's a successful relationship, in my opinion, is one where you overcome those fears and accept a person as they are, and focus on the positive and the beauty of sharing with each other and sharing our the sum total of our life experience.
Yeah, and a lot of times that life experience is actually not so pretty. And I hear you when you say it's actually the moving through it and actually saying, yeah, okay, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna face myself, and I'm gonna not close myself down. So I think that's so much a part of the process that we're talking about on every level. It's not only the process in meditation, it's the process of receiving a breath. Sounds so simple, but it holds so much truth there that in meditation, when we take a breath, we can sense that our lungs are really tight. Are we in contraction? Are we taking a full breath? Are we actually softening our ribs and opening to all that the breath has to offer? And you can sense in yourself if you're contracted and you're just breathing into the top of your lungs, or are you actually taking in the fullness of the breath? And are you, in the practice, we let your stomach, we breathe these belly breaths, and we let the breath go the whole way to your stomach and let your diaphragm relax. Well, that's the same as a relationship. Am I really going to offer someone the fullness of who I am, which includes all of my fears and all of my past relationships? And as you said earlier, I find that my songwriting has evolved and has become a lot. I don't quite remember what the word was you said, but essentially, as we get older and we work through all that, we evolve into something that's a little more refined. This is what I believe you said, that the songwriting has become more refined. So that this process of not only breathing, but the creative process, the process of being in a relationship, all of it is about just opening up to that experience, opening up to a relationship, opening up to breath, and receiving it in its fullness. Everything you're saying, this show always goes back and forth with me, who's a meditation teacher, hearing every word that our guest is saying. And I know you're probably sitting there going, what are you talking about, lungs and softening the diaphragm? But to me, it's all the same. It's sort of this similar language of how do we open to an experience. And Certainly, I hear you sing at the end of that song that love, it's the chorus, that love has simply left you terrified. But yet, there's 13 songs on this album, so you've moved on, you've lived through it, you've experienced it and said, well, that is life. That is the beauty of being in a relationship, or the beauty of being expressive. The beauty of being a human being is moving through all of that, experiencing it and seeing what comes. And a lot of times that process is the beauty you talk about, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And before the break, we were hearing you talk a bit about being a defense lawyer. Now, I just would love to go back into that a little bit, because it's so fascinating that you're a songwriter, a storyteller, opening up to the human experience. That must be exposing yourself to some pretty intense stories, hearing people's stories and being that person who's got to sort of juggle all of this. You've got a judge in front of you. You've got this, you've got the accused. You're a defense lawyer, not a prosecuting lawyer. So you've got to understand their story, and you've got to sort of find a way to tell that story in its truth, in their truth, if that's the case. And I just would love to hear a bit about that process. It sounds so interesting.
Well, in the trial setting, especially if you're talking about a jury trial, there's many aspects that come into play. I find it to be probably the most difficult and also the most thrilling part of lawyering is the jury trial. It does include an element of theater as well. You have to be aware of how you're coming off to the jury and to the judge as well, and along with the substantive law and the rules of procedure. You have to be open and understand what people are saying and how their testimony, so that you can object in a timely manner to preserve your rights on appeal. But a lot of it is again understanding, I think, human nature, what a jury is wanting to know. They generally want to hear your client's story, and of course I do civil cases as well, where I'm not just a defense attorney, but in the criminal cases I do purely defense work. But it has that aspect of theater, and again, those skills that I think have developed over the years have served me well and served my clients well in that respect. Because by understanding what the jurors want to hear, and even the witnesses, what their story is, you can approach them in a way that is, the most effective. And it's, I have to admit, it's quite stressful, but it also is extremely gratifying when you've served your client's interest, and hopefully that ultimately justice has been done, and it's a nice feeling.
You talked about earlier, when a song comes from the heart, that it is well received. And I would imagine even in the courtroom, I know heart probably doesn't play a lot into it, but this idea of connection, when we talk about energy centers, we talk about the heart center, and that is what connects us all. And there must be some point within that whole process in the courtroom where you've got to figure out a way to open yourself up to everybody's perception of you, perception of your client. It must take a certain amount of alignment. What I'm getting at is I'm curious how aware you are within that process of your own energy. I can imagine if the courtroom starts to sway maybe against your client, or you can tell that it's going completely toward your client, there must be this you must have to sort of ride this wave of how do I stay connected to everybody and keep this story open. It's fascinating. There must be a lot of sort of, I don't want to use the word manipulation. That's not a good word, but just this sort of jockeying of where does the story sit and how do I keep everybody open to what I'd like to express. It's got to be the same as being a songwriter, no? Or on stage as a musician. Well,
I think as an attorney, you have other constraints that you don't have as a songwriter.
Like a good beat
role
and a guitar.
your role as an attorney is to further your client's interest, your loyalty is to your client, not to necessarily the ultimate truth. Your role is not to get out all the information, but just the information that will help your client's cause. Although you can't, misrepresent anything or present evidence to be false, because there are ethical constraints as well. So, it's not nearly as free an experience as music.
Right. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to skip the next break, and then what we're going to do is let you listen to one of Larz's song "Solitude," so that we can hear all that creativity.
Yeah, we'd like to actually really listen to a full song and hear that experience, hear your songwriting process. So, yeah, we're gonna
play "Solitude."
Your Solitude live.
Solitude, I take a needed interlude. My energy's drained and my spirit is strained, and the whole parade pulls to a crawl. It's me and time, that's all. It's kind of like this dream I had. There's a misty ring around the moon. I give in, I be still. Don't wanna wake too soon. I know the duty calls, but now it's me and time, that's all. I could free my inner child, or pull the reins in tight, or even tame my evil twin, or just bid him good night. This automatic one-touch world leaves me asleep behind the wheel. I give in, I give out. I don't know what to feel. I don't know how to fall. But now it's me and time, that's all. I kinda like the solitude. My energy's drained and my spirit is strained. You can take that clock right off the wall, 'cause now it's me and time, that's all.
That was Solitude by Larz Young. Great song, Larz. So happy to hear it on the air. If you want to find out more about Larz Young, his website is breadandbuddha.net, www.breadandbuddha.net. And Larz, that song Solitude, great song. You've got a fan in Brian, where he's our production in the studio guy, and he is a music lover. Let me tell you, he plays great songs as we lead in and lead out. And since we had a musician, we had him sort of playing your songs. He's a very big music fan, and he gave us the thumbs up and says, "It's a great song, guys. I love this song." So you've got fans all over the place. So Larz, Solitude, tell us a little bit about that song.
Yeah, well, that's one of the songs that is not about a relationship. That kind of I was diagnosed with lung cancer, and at one point my chances were not good, and that song kind of came about with kind of a struggle with confronting my own mortality. And at some point I reached this point of serenity, where I really was okay with it. And that sort of represents much of the emotions that I experienced during that time. It turns out it looks like I beat it, so that's great. But that's kind of where that song came from, and I realized how much just being quiet and in the moment really meant to me. Just to tie it in with the topic. Yeah, so in that is one of those songs that just kind of poured out of me, much like Terrified. Terrified was one of those songs that seemed to write itself. This one took a little more thought in trying to put those emotions into words, but that really came out of my struggle with my, that just scary disease.
Yeah, really. I mean, that is really an experience that so many people in this day and age have gone through. And again, the courage and the bravery to not only get through that, but then to create something beautiful out of that in the way of a song. That just, to me, again, I know I've said it time and time again, that is the human experience, is to create harmony out of something so chaotic, to learn something, to soften to it, to open to the fullness of experience and receive it. And I think that honestly is what gives us the grace to move forward. I mean, that is all a part of the healing process, and says, I am a part of this process. I'm going to move through it. I'm going to open to it, and I'm going to get beyond it. And so many of us that clamp down and we sort of resist an experience, it always leads to it always leads to more suffering. So I think it's why the artists to so many of us in life are so inspiring, because they really will take that head on and experience it, and then express it in a way where we can all share. We all have that experience, and we can find our own expression sort of within a song or within a story or within a painting and relate. It's beautiful. It really is the human experience. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Hey, Larz, we usually end the show with 3 questions. Do you recall that we talked about that earlier? I'm just wondering if I'm putting you on the spot or not. We talk about the spiritual council and 3 people that might be on. Is that ringing a bell?
Yeah, about what?
Is that ringing a bell to you?
What?
That question of the spiritual council.
Spiritual council?
Not ringing a bell. No. So we ask our guests, I hope you can hear me, we ask our guests at the end of each show, we ask them, and we usually talk about it before, but I'm realizing that we didn't talk about it so much, you and I and Tim. But if there were 3 people that you could think of that might be on a council, we say that you have this spiritual council where anytime you need advice or you need sort of insight you could go to. We sort of like it if people could let us know. And if I'm putting you on the spot, I'm sorry. But 3 people or even 1 or 2 people that you think you might turn to have been a source of inspiration, of sort of spiritual guidance and even guidance on any level. I'm just curious who, when you go to for counsel, that might be. Like even somebody who's alive, somebody who's dead, who's passed on.
Inspires your music.
Wow. Well, I wish I had more time to think about it, but there's so many people I've learned from. I'd have to say certainly my father, who was always giving me the benefit of his experience, and my mother, who gave me unconditional love and always made things seem better.
Which, as an artist, that goes a long way. Unconditional love. We have so many artists who had parents that really just said, no, you're not going to do that. So I'm an artist myself, and that resonates when you've got that unconditional love from a parent, and especially when you're choosing a path that's creative. And I'm curious, music-wise, who might be someone that, if there's a melody you can't quite get right or a lyric that's just not working out, is there someone sort of almost in a meditative sort of alignment that you could ask, give me a hand here? Who might that be musically?
Oh boy, I there are many people I've revered musically, and Andre Segovia, Ravi Shankar, just to name a few. I think it's just always great
to hear who, to sort of put that into words. Who is that might be drawn, that you might draw inspiration from? Those names sound great. Well, it's been a really, really interesting conversation. I've loved just hearing about your creative process and just combing through human experience. So once again, I'd like to just tell the listeners that Larz Young, his latest album, is brand new CD, and it's called Sarita and Other Reasons for Living, and every song is a story. Every song is an experience, and it's got Larz's experience and actually all of our experience. We can relate to everything, all of the sort of trials and tribulations turned into beautiful, graceful, and really pleasing to the ear acoustic guitar, great music. So, Larz, it's been great and wonderful to hear your music, and we thank you for being here with us.
Oh, thank you. It's really been a pleasure. Thanks.
So, Tim, tell just a little bit about Spiritfire if people want to learn a bit more about Spiritfire.
So definitely go to our website at www.spiritfire.com, and we've got coming up a whole Quietude weekend for Columbus Day weekend. If you're looking to get to the retreat center and give yourself a little rest and reprieve, look for our retreat that we've got going on that weekend.
Indeed, that's next weekend. Anybody that's in this listener area is close by to Spiritfire, and that's Columbus Day weekend. We've got 3 days. Autumn is amazing here in Western Mass. I know, Larz, you must be enjoying leaf peeping out by where Larz lives is just beautiful. Out by Goshen, Massachusetts, just beautiful leaves right now. It's peak season. So, Larz, once again, thanks for joining us, and we'd love to see some of the listeners at Spiritfire. Look us up, SpiritfireRetreatCenter.com and SpiritFire.com. Thanks so much.
We'll see you again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Spiritfire Radio. Tune in each Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time for your weekly guide to practical mindfulness. Join Tim Darter and Steve Kramer and discover how to add the mechanics of meditation to your day. Watch yourself connecting in a whole new way and find the amazing moments in life's routines that often pass us by. Add to your awareness with Spiritfire Radio. To learn more about Spiritfire, visit www.spiritfireradio.com.